You're now listening to Sanity at the Movies. It's the What's Coming Up edition, where we tell you what's coming up, so you can watch along if you want to. So we already talked. I'm Nathan. That's Ben. That's Jake. Ben, what do you sound like?
Sound like this?
Jake, what do you sound like?
Usually.
Something like this.
Something like that. So, just very briefly, gentlemen, let's tell people what's coming up so that they know what's coming up. Because we're always adapting and changing and morphing and saying we should watch this and stuff like that. So we've got a movie coming up that we did because Jake had it on and was like, you guys want to do this one? We've got the greatest political satire of them all coming up.
Yeah.
We've got Ben's.
We do?
We've got Ben's staff pick. Oh, yeah, buddy. We've got a bunch of stuff in the can that hasn't been released yet.
Greatest political satire of them all.
The greatest political satire of them all.
My brain's not connecting dots.
Well, it is strange, but I love it.
Sorry.
We've got Ben's staff pick, a samurai classic.
I keep thinking that these have been released. It's been so long since we recorded them.
Yeah, I know, but they haven't because we're ahead. We just released our Guardians.
We watched this samurai movie.
No, I've kind of comic book samurai.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
Are you serious?
that's why
five of them, Jake.
That's why I wanted to do this episode so that we could just say, "Hey guys, here's the things that you could watch if you wanted to watch along with us." So
things in our past are in your future.
Yes, it's funny how that works.
Paradox.
Okay, so summer movie preview. We did that episode. Coming up next on the docket is Spider-Verse, and then Jones of the Indiana variety, Flash, Oppenheimer, and Mission Impossible. Have you guys had any more thoughts about those since we did our summer movie preview episode? Has anything changed?
No.
I feel like we probably saw the best one of them already.
You think it's all downhill from here?
Yes.
No. Absolutely not.
Jake will never accept that.
I will not accept it unless or until it happens.
That's fair.
After our next movie,
It's probably a better
if
attitude.
the next movie doesn't overtake it, then it's all downhill from there?
The next one's Spider-Verse?
Yes.
Probably, yeah.
That's your hope, right? I mean,
Yeah, it's Spider-Verse.
you're not
That's
Or
what
bust.
Jones. It's
So what Guardians of the Galaxy wanted to do is say the Guardians deserve to be in the conversation of great superhero franchise trilogies. That's what it tried to say. We belong in the conversation with Raimi's Spider-Man and with Batman, with Nolan's Batman and everything else. Like, we belong in that conversation at least. With the Avengers trilogy, we belong in the conversation. We belong in the conversation as best Marvel trilogy, at least. You know, that's the kind of statement that Gunn tried to make. And what the second entry in the Spider-Verse needs to do is say, hold my beer. We're taking this trilogy thing.
I hope that they do. Genuinely.
It's interesting to compare trilogies, first of all, because I don't think that we've had a single successful trilogy of the ones like the Christopher Nolan Batman's, arguably a good duology, not a great trilogy.
No,
exact same thing for the Raimi Spiders.
Yep.
And what was the other one you said?
I said the Avengers.
Avengers.
Which isn't really a trilogy.
No.
Yeah.
That's kind of an ungainly beast.
I mean, you could say that there was an Iron Man trilogy. You could say that there was...
yeah, and that doesn't work because the middle, that's like a sandwich with bad meat.
You see there's a Captain America trilogy and a Thor trilogy. Well,
There.
Captain
Not
America
really.
trilogy became those were just Avengers movies at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't have been a good trilogy anyway.
There wasn't really a Superman trilogy.
No.
You could say that there was a Snyderverse
A
trilogy.
Snyder trilogy.
Yeah, I was just wondering.
I enjoy
about
all
that.
those films to varying degrees in their Snyder cuts, but they are not actually good, minus maybe Justice League. So, I mean, if you want to see Batman pull a toilet off the wall and smash it over Superman's head, then Batman v
We
Superman:
love to talk
Dawn of
about
Justice
this. We really do.
is.
Yes.
It's just like the tastelessness of Zack Snyder. For a man with such good taste in some ways, the idea that he ever in a million years thought that was a good idea is really tickles me pink. So anyway, yeah, I think Guardians might actually just by default be the best superhero trilogy that we have until Spider-Verse, which is apparently
Thrones it.
old enough to drink a beer, says to hold it. That's crazy. Yeah, and I mean Nolan's not. I just think Dark Knight Rises is a total whiff. I don't know what you guys' mileage is on that one.
I loved it at the time, but yeah, it's a terrible movie.
I walked out of the theater and and kind of despised it.
None of those Nolan movies really. This is so Nolan.
I loved Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises at the time. I don't know if
And
I
you didn't like Begins?
Not much. No.
So I thought Begins was at the time was fun and refreshing, even though the whole microwave little
The third act of that movie
act of that
sucks,
movie
yeah.
just it was so bad. But
And the
I
dialogue was second only to the prequels in terms of auteurs don't need to write their own dialogue.
yeah, but I liked the. I was there for the gritty, realistic reboot of Batman that can live in this world, sort of, until the third act.
Right.
I wanted to be. I was just never much of a fan of it, but
And it does a lot of things wrong. It's got the lamest action of almost any superhero movie. It's got
yeah, that was a big part of it for me at the time.
the Ra's al Ghul fake out is disappointing if you're any kind of a Ken Watanabe fan, which I am. But yeah, I liked it. I was there for it. But we cannot pretend like, as much as we might want to look back on Dark Knight and say, oh, Nolan and plot holes. The Dark Knight
slapped at the time.
It slapped
Like
at
it
the
mattered.
time.
It was awesome at the time.
slapped,
Yeah.
one might even say.
Maybe might say awesome.
It still doesn't. It's still such a horrible mess of a movie on a rewatch. It's
Yeah,
just
no,
like
I-
star power holding it together.
No, minus about 15 minutes of a compelling Oscar-winning star turn. There's really not much to it, but besides plot mechanics that
Yeah, Christian
weirdly-
Bale was amazing.
Yeah, he was. I was talking about Cillian Murphy. Doesn't he show up in that one for a
Sorry.
second?
He does.
He
Yeah, he
does.
gets to reprise his role.
Yeah, his iconic role.
Murray.
Oh my goodness, he's got scars. He wants to tell you the story of how not Cillian Murphy, the Joker. He wants to tell you about his scars. It's his thing that he does. He tells different stories every time. I don't know if you guys picked up on that.
Oh, it's all
No.
coming together now.
That was a special thing.
Yeah.
The whole world was incredulous that he could outdo Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, now everybody laughs at Nicholson.
Yeah.
But speaking of which, we have made our goal. So I think that's coming up sometime.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, really? Wow.
I cannot tell you people exactly when these things are going to drop. We're going to name 3 movies that we've already recorded, that we already alluded to, that are in the can, that are classic films. One of them is a samurai comic book movie, but it's also a classic film, actually, or a classic series. But they're going to sort of be interspersed where we don't have a blockbuster to talk about. And plus, we've got to get the 2 Batmans and the 2 Supermans in sometime.
So we met the goal, and we got to do the Donner Batmans and the Donner Supermans and
There you
the
go.
Burton Batmans. That's fun. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Me too.
And in an alternate universe, we could do the Burton Superman as well.
Yes.
But we don't,
With the
we
giant
don't live in
spider.
that universe.
If people
That's
haven't,
the universe that Nicolas Cage is Superman, I think.
Mhm.
That's right.
And it's got have you guys ever seen the YouTube video of Kevin Smith talking about his time as a writer on that film?
No.
It's a pretty classic.
No.
Kevin Smith, obviously a great storyteller. And he talks about John Peters, the producer, and how John Peters' one thing was, and Kevin Smith does a much better job of making this a story than I'm about to do, but his one thing was it has to have a giant mechanical spider. Like for some reason, this guy was just obsessed with.
Did he produce Wild Wild West?
Well, that's the punchline. Is
Sorry.
Smith actually walks off of the film like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to put a giant mechanical spider in your Superman movie. A couple years later, he sits down to watch Wild Wild West, produced by John Peters. What do you know? This guy went into producing to accomplish one thing that he wanted to see on screen.
My father's dying wish.
I have carried out at last.
Oh man, that's we have him to thank for Wild Wild West.
Oh,
Jim
man.
West, Desperado.
Rough Rider. No, you don't want nada.
Crowning
Nada
achievement
his
of
6 guns.
Barry Sonnenberg's career.
Oh my goodness, Men in Black would actually be the crowning achievement and the only achievement.
I like Men in Black 3.
Yeah, it's fine, but Men in Black 1 is a genuinely inspired film, I think, and nothing else that Sonnenfeld ever did was all that inspired. I guess you could argue for the Addams Family films, but
Never saw 'em.
I would not argue for them personally. So anyway, yes, we're going to talk about one Donner Superman. We're going to talk about one Lester Superman. I assume we're doing the regular cut of Superman 2, although I'd be willing to
Never seen the Donner cut.
divide it up if you guys wanted to. I don't know that we're going to get 2 episodes out of doing the 2 cuts, but Like if we wanted to have somebody report back, like if we wanted to assign somebody the Donner cut and assign somebody the Lester cut, we could do that. I'm also open to doing more than one video. It just feels like it might be overkill.
I think the Donner cut's the way to go.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Oh, so you've seen both?
Yep.
Huh.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll figure
Very
that
interesting.
out. But
I
we're
think
gonna do
the Donner cut is a good movie.
Oh, well, that's saying something.
Yeah, the Superman 2 has always been.
And I think the
Fun.
Lester cut sells out a good movie that was there for cheap, campy comedy.
Yeah, well, Richard
That's my take. Now, I haven't seen the Lester cut since I was a kid, but I had an opinion about it and feelings about it. And I watched the Donner cut with my kids, and I was like, oh, I actually like this.
I think somebody has to
Interesting.
watch the Lester cut. I don't think we could do this without
Fresh take on it.
a Lester cut critique.
For sure.
I think most of our listeners will actually have grown up with that one, and if they're our age at least. Certainly I grew up with the Lester cut. In any case, we're not going to do, unless one of you guys really wants to, I have no interest in doing the Richard Pryor Superman film or the Sun
No.
God.
Those are horrible.
Those are just horrible movies.
They're
And
incredibly
I don't
bad
think that they would be
movies.
fun episodes. It wouldn't be that much fun to talk about.
No.
No way.
And similarly, the Schumacher Batman.
No,
People
no.
have asked me,
Waste of
are you going to
time.
do Batman and Robin? It'd be
Waste
really
of
fun to
time.
hear. I'm just going to tell you guys, it wouldn't be that fun to hear us do. You can go on the internet. You can find lots of internet comedians tearing a new one for Batman and Robin. It's a fun movie to make fun of, but I don't want to do 2 hours of something I know I'm going to hate and just like going in for the sole purpose of making jokes about Arnold Schwarzenegger and stuff. I'm sorry, that doesn't. I'm always
Holy Metal Rock Batman.
Yeah, I'm happy when we accidentally see a bad movie and we get to tear it apart, but I don't want to intentionally. We're not a bad movie podcast. We're a good movie podcast.
Fun context is I am slowly working through the Adam West Batman
Oh, really?
For real?
Something to watch
with
with your
my
kids.
kids.
Yeah.
Huh.
They just they stumbled into its existence somehow. And we're like, what's that? And I was like, y'all don't know what that is? And they're like, no. And I was like, yeah, this is the kind of thing I grew up. I'm going to spend the night at my grandparents. We're going to watch this on Nick at Night kind of thing. And I thought it was fun and cool. And they're like, let's watch it. And I'm like, yeah, you sure? And they're like, yeah. So I put it on and they're like enjoying it.
Talk
They're having a lot
about a
of fun
thing
with
that's
it.
well engineered. I mean, it's so simple what it's doing, but it works on at least 2 levels. Like kids really can actually enjoy it as a Batman story.
Yeah. And
then
they are.
It's so snide and like making it it's such a mocker. Like you watch it as an adult and they're like climbing up the bat dance. I mean, it's so stupid.
That's the pilot.
Yeah.
The Bat Dance is the pilot. I didn't realize that. Like that's the very first episode is Batman's dancing.
I love the straight face that they play and the Rogues Gallery, Cesar Romero, Burgess Meredith, Frank.
Yeah,
Gorshin.
Cesar Romero hasn't showed up yet because we just finished just the very second arc. So Burgess Meredith has the second arc. What's his face? The Riddler.
Frank Gorshin.
Frank Gorshin had the first one.
He was always my favorite. I really like him.
So yeah, he's awesome. He's awesome. They're both awesome.
He's
And-
actually genuinely just a tad menacing. Like
yeah.
he's-
Well, the laugh itself that he
yeah.
plays.
Huh.
And he's got a look.
He's got
It's
kind
just
of dead eyes or
there's a
something.
real
Like there's a real
psychotic vibe about this dude.
psychopathy. Psychopathy, there you go. Yeah, where the others are kind of silly, and Burgess Meredith, of course, refused to shave his mustache, which makes
You
him...
mean Cesar Romero?
Yeah, Cesar Romero, yeah.
Yeah, which is always hilarious.
Which is always hilarious. But yeah, no, I love the Batman show. And I think that if you look at the way that dialogue sometimes is written on, say, a Chip and Lance or a Vil or something, just that sort of knowing arch sort of... Let's
well,
explain...
I think it's actually giving some context for Chip and Lance to my kids. Just the last time on
Yeah.
Batman, our heroes.
The conventions of old pulp things. And
Yeah, just like throughout. And then they comes to the end of every episode and it's always, is this the end for Batman and Robin?
Mhm.
It's like, hey, is this the end for Chip and Lance? Did you guys take this from the Batman movie or show?
Not intentionally. Yeah. Well, and then you've got all the boring stuff with pretty ladies, all the 60s sex politics of it all, which goes on and is terrible. Bruce Wayne's always going to fall in love with some society dame or something like that. In any case, maybe I'm thinking more of the Batman movie, which are Wouldn't be hard for our listeners to talk me into wanting to do that. The Adam West movie is pretty fun. It's got the shark repellent. It's got some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. Beyond that, it's actually kind of boring. But it's got those two things. Okay, so 60s Batman. Yeah, 60s Batman rules.
Just some fun. So the only reason I thought of that was you mentioned Batman and Robin.
Right,
And,
which
you know,
spoofs on that a little bit.
spoofs on it, has some callbacks, you know, whatever.
He says holy something.
Holy rusted metal Batman, I think is the line.
Yeah.
Because they're standing literally on rusted metal that has holes in it,
yep.
you know, and that's the joke.
Good
It's a
stuff.
hilarious joke.
It's
Yep.
great.
I thought it was funny at the time, actually. As
It was.
a kid.
It was funny at the
yeah.
time. No, it was a
It's
good
probably
joke.
the only time in the movie that I laughed. But
No, that's about right.
In any case, we're not going to do the Kilmer. We're not going to do the Clooney. We're just going to do the Keaton.
Both Bruce Wayne and Batman.
That's
Val
like-
Kilmer's moral.
That's the
That's what
moral
he says to
from...
Nicole Kidman, I think.
Oh, yeah.
When he rescues her.
Dr. Chase Meridian.
yes.
Oh, man. The embarrassing early role for Nicole Kidman, just playing the sex pot psychiatrist. Man, that is some dumb stuff. Okay. Not going to do it. Don't care. It's terrible. It's just embarrassing. It's embarrassing to watch Tommy Lee Jones embarrass himself. It's Jim Carrey. I don't think Jim Carrey's comedy really translates, has crossed the bridge of time for me very well. Not that I was ever a huge like Ace Ventura guy or whatever, but I'm especially not a huge Ace Ventura guy now. So anyway, those are all my thoughts on Batman Forever. Also, what a silly title. So yeah, we'll get those in. I don't think we're going to be able to get them in before The Flash, although that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Even if we got them recorded before The Flash, I don't know that we'd release them before The Flash.
Mhm.
Maybe on a personal note, I will try and watch them before The Flash. Just, I don't know. We could talk about scheduling. We won't make our listeners listen to us talk about scheduling. We've got 3 classic movie episodes recorded right now. The first one is the greatest political satire of all time, released in 1964. Does somebody want to say what that is?
No.
No. Okay.
Mein Führer, I have a podcast.
Nicely done.
Thank you.
4 stars. That's Dr. Strangelove. Or,
How I learned to stop worrying and love the bomb.
yes, Dr. Strangelove's seminal masterpiece. Stanley Kubrick's seminal masterpiece. And the word seminal feels very appropriate because, boy, is it naughty. Not in a way that I feel bad watching it on the podcast, but it is
Yep.
full of double entendre. So, that's a thing. A phrase that we only know because of James Bond and movies from the 60s like Dr. Strangelove. Would we actually know the term double entendre if not for that? I say no.
Is there a movie with more visual double entendre?
No. And does it start with, it starts with the most aggressive double entendre, maybe, if any.
And there's a
Yeah.
lot of movies with verbal double entendre, but as much visual double entendre, I don't think it's possible.
I think you'd have to go to like a bad Monty Python
You'd have to go to
episode or
like,
something.
you know, one of those 80s, 70s, like Airplane or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And even then it's going to be more verbal than visual.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you're still going to spoof it in like a Austin Powers or something like that.
Yeah, a way that's just more crass, actually.
But
But it is a great movie and a great satire. And if you haven't seen it and you're an adult who can handle some sophisticated humor,
nothing. I just replayed.
Yeah,
this-
the scene in your mind.
scene
You're
in
like,
my mind.
it's
It's a thing.
amazing.
it's a thing. It's a
It
thing.
is, yeah.
But it's a movie that still actually has something to say. And I think not just for the conservatives, but for, I don't know. It's a weird, we talk about it in the episode, but it's strange how the military industrial complex is now owned by the left. What happened, guys? That's just a very strange thing that's happened. Or maybe not so strange. I don't know. But in any case, the movie is just as fresh and compelling and satirically on point as it ever was. And if not more so with Ukraine and Russia and all that stuff. So, yeah, if you haven't seen Dr. Strangelove, you may not want to watch it twice, but you owe it to yourself probably to see it at least once. Now, another one that we've got lined up is a comic book samurai classic series of 5 films, which we reviewed, and you'll definitely have heard of them.
And we definitely watched all 5 of them.
Yeah.
We intended to watch only one.
We did watch one.
We got kind of sucked
Ben
in.
made us watch the first one as his staff pick, and then we were like, we were all compelled enough. Plus, I think somebody, either Ben or I, was having a baby during that time. And yes, we are.
It was me.
We both produce asexually. Our bodies were splitting apart like amoebas, and
Needed something to take our mind off.
yeah, gave something to
Of
take
the
our
pain.
right. If you've seen John Carpenter's The Thing, that's how me and Ben reproduce. Is like The Thing. We split apart into these grotesque things, and you don't want to see our children because they'll bite your arms off. Oh man, the scariest part of The Thing, the guy goes to do like the life-saving paddles. What are those things called?
Defibrillators?
Yeah, he does. He's going to do defibrillators. He doesn't, but what he doesn't know is the guy he's trying to defibrillate is actually The Thing. And so he goes to defibrillate, and then the guy's chest opens up into a maw with teeth, and his hands just go in, and then it closes and bites him off. And super surprising and scary. It's a great jump scare and great practical effects. And don't watch it if you don't like gory stuff. But
It's so old school. This is a movie I've seen and took somehow. I'm not a horror guy, but this movie is just old school sci-fi.
yeah, it's old school.
It's
scary.
ridiculous.
Never seen it, not a horror guy, and don't like gore, and not inclined to go see it.
I mean, it's
Might be
it's
the
got some of the
best.
fun of an alien or a predator.
I would see it with you guys.
It's an awesome Kurt Russell movie. Kurt Russell is just the man.
I don't personally, when something's as abstracted as an alien, I just don't find it all that.
I mean, it was gross.
Yeah, it was, but I'm just always,
It's
I know I've
also
said this before, like if I see someone get a paper cut in a movie, I will close my eyes. If I see an alien burst out of someone's chest, there's just not enough to relate to about that. It's just like, okay, this is special effects. It does not bother me, but I realize your mileage may vary on that. Anyway, why are we talking about The Thing? We didn't watch it.
For a very good reason.
For a
Nathan.
very good reason. While our wives were giving babies. While our wives were having babies, we were in the other room watching
Rurouni Kenshin.
Rurouni Kenshin, a wonderful series of very serious Japanese melodramas about a samurai who engages in action and adventure.
It's pretty great.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah, I mean, I say a serious melodrama, but it's not homework. I just want to tell you, it takes itself pretty seriously, but the action is very comic booky, and he does like jumps, and there's swords and
It's really, really fun.
flying battleships and different weapons.
The choreography is just so fun and compelling.
Yes.
It's just really, it scratches the itch of, oh no, the wife's at women's night and the kids are in bed. And what I'd like to watch is John Wick, but maybe not, because it's so violent and
Nihilistic.
and gross and has some sexuality in it. I wish there was something a little bit cleaner, but just as like fun.
Yep.
This is that.
Yep.
It is that.
It's great. And it's got
It's
a
super fun.
pretty good story and a likable cast of characters, and it's just bags of fun. Rurouni Kenshin. So, you can watch, I think there's 2 of them on Netflix, and there's 2 of them on Chumbawamba service. What is that thing called?
There's
Crunchyroll is
There's
Crunchyroll.
3
now.
on Netflix and 2 on Crunchyroll, if memory serves.
Yes, you're right. So you got to watch number 1 on Netflix, and then you got to watch parts 2 and parts 3. And then we
Yeah.
highly recommend watching. So there's kind of a trilogy, and then there's a prequel and a sequel.
Watch the prequel first.
Watch the prequel first, and then the sequel. Even though that's out of release order, you'll be better served that way.
Yeah, it's definitely better that way.
You will be disappointed, I think, if you don't do it that way. In any case, Rurouni Kenshin, that's something you can watch. If it sounds at all intriguing to you, you'll probably enjoy it. And finally, we've got the greatest sports film of all time. He could have been a contender. In fact, he was a contender. He was none other than our old pal,
Rocky Balboa.
Yep, we're watching Rocky Balboa, 2005's
No.
horrible 6th sequel. No. We're watching the original Rocky from 1976. I think this is a movie I've avoided having us do for a couple of years because I'm just like, what are we going to say about Rocky? But it turns out we had a really great discussion about Rocky, and Ben had some context that he provided on the noble art of pugilism, which
Yeah.
led to a pretty great discussion of just fighting and sports fighting and
Boxing movies in general and sports movies in
It's a really fun
general.
episode.
and the violent urge in men and how society should. We went pretty deep, and it was a lot of fun. But it wasn't homework. It was fun. It was a good episode. Plenty of Rocky, plenty of good stories from the production of Rocky, and you got Adrian, you got Rocky, you got Burgess Meredith again, our favorite Batman villain. So good stuff. So that's coming up. And again, I don't know the release dates. I'm gonna pepper these classics in with the blockbusters as we have open Thursdays when we release our episodes. But that's all coming soon. If you want to watch any of that stuff with us, you can watch the first 2 Superman movies. You can watch the first 2 Batman movies. I think that's everything. I have a nagging feeling that there's something else we're supposed to be telling you, dear listener.
I can't think what.
But I don't know what it would be. I guess, what are you guys predicting on the Batmans and Supermans? You think they'll hold up? You think we'll actually like them?
I think the Supermans will hold up and we'll actually like them. And I'll be glad I showed them to my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the first Burton Batman is going to be just as oddly compelling as it was before, and just as yuck and dark and gross as I kind of remember it. And the second one is gonna amp that all up. That's what I think.
Yeah.
I will say the second one is actually the one I'm most looking forward to. I haven't seen it forever, and
Second one is an actual movie.
I remember it being some kind of twisted from Tim Burton's id masterpiece of disgustingness.
Yeah, that's what I remember
It
too.
is-
And
it
it
is
was
gross.
like, it was all but banned in our house after we watched it the first time.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah, I was not allowed to watch it as a kid.
It's more like Guardians of the Galaxy or something. Except it's instead of being fun, it's something else.
No, Tim Burton, obviously a very wounded fella, and I think mostly he hasn't actually channeled it. He's just sort of made it into an aesthetic and kind of sold it out in his movies. I don't think that he's a great, wounded, dark artist like some people think, but Batman Returns might be the movie where he just was like, all right, I'm going to just throw all my id on the screen and just get it out of my system. Only he didn't get it out of his system, but it is some kind of mean-spirited, dark, we're going to send penguins to murder our children.
And one of them, visually speaking, one of the greatest comic book movies ever made. Even still, I think that will hold up.
Yeah, is it weird that the one I'm actually least looking forward to rewatching is the Nicholson? I'm expecting that.
No, it is oddly compelling, like Jake says, but it's also at the same time quite tedious. Like it's both.
Yeah.
I've always found that to be the experience. Like this is a tedious movie. It's not that exciting, but it's also hard to take your eyes off it.
There's so much that it's just it's Kim Basinger and the reporter guy trying to figure out Batman.
That it's no fun.
Yeah, that stuff I'm not looking forward to.
Yeah, it's such a weird movie.
Yeah. And I don't know that I'm actually looking forward to Nicholson. I'm just afraid it's just going to be there's Jack Nicholson being Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
But it'll be fun to talk about. Yeah. And I've not seen any Superman movies since I was a kid. So I'm really looking forward to those. I remember loving the Richard Lester cut of Superman 2, actually. Zod and
me
Ursula
too.
and
Me too.
The big brute guy's name. I just thought they were so fun and cool.
Mm-hmm.
Kneel before me. So I'm looking forward to that one, even though it might arguably qualitatively be the worst movie of the 4. Okay, so that's what's coming up. Forewarned is forearmed. I still feel like there's something we should be telling you, listener, but I have no idea what it is. I guess we can do another podcast, or we'll drop it in our Discord, which you can access through patreon.com/sanity at the movies, a thriving community of people talking about movies, mostly movies, as you would expect. So, yeah, go there. Don't be square. Until next time.
Ayo, Adrian, we did it.
We sure did. I hit the wrong button again. Actually, I hadn't done it. All right, let me see if I can hit the right button. Can I have another quote? Until next time. You got such a smorgasbord. He makes art until someone dies. Devil Moonlight?
Oh, the movies we haven't seen.
You want to
yet.
get nuts?
Let's get nuts.
Here comes the music. Getting nuts. I don't like that usage in The Flash very much. Thought it was pandering.
It was great. It's the right kind of pandering.